The massive Zephyrian starship Astral Harmony moved silently through the darkness of space. Its silver hull reflected the light from a distant yellow star as it approached the third planet in the system. Inside the ship, tall beings made of living crystal walked through corridors filled with blinking lights and humming machines. Commander Velthari stood in the control room, watching numbers and pictures appear on glowing screens. The commander's body was like clear blue glass, with light moving through it in slow patterns. 6 long fingers touched the control panel as data from the planet below filled the displays. "Commander, we have finished scanning the planet," said Science Officer Kixandra. Her voice sounded like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. She pointed at the largest screen with one crystalline finger. "Look at these results." The screen showed a green and blue world covered in forests, oceans, and mountains. Streams of information moved across the display, showing details about the air, water, and land below. "What do the bioscanners tell us?" Velthari asked, moving closer to read the data. "Many animals live on this world," Kixandra replied. "Birds, mammals, reptiles, and thousands of plant species. The forests are thick and healthy. The water is clean, but our scanners find no intelligent life forms. No cities, no technology, no organized civilization." Velthari nodded slowly. The Zephyrians had explored many worlds using their advanced scanning equipment. Their machines could detect brain activity from space. They could spot metal buildings, energy sources, and radio signals from millions of miles away. If the scanners found no signs of intelligence, then the planet was empty of thinking beings. "This world could be perfect for our farming colonies," Velthari decided. "The soil looks rich and the climate appears stable. We should go down to the surface and collect samples. Shall I prepare the landing shuttle?" asked Engineer Thaxmore. His crystal body was darker than the others, with silver veins running through it like metal wires. "Yes. Select a team of 4. We will examine the northern forest region first," Velthari ordered. Security Specialist Rinhala stepped forward. Her crystal form was clearer than the others, almost invisible except for the red light that pulsed through her core. "Commander, should I prepare heavy weapons? The planet might have dangerous animals." "Our scanners show no major threats," Velthari replied. "Bring standard protection gear, but this should be a simple collection mission." Within 1 hour, the 4 Zephyrians sat inside a small shuttle as it left the main ship. The shuttle was shaped like a silver teardrop with no windows but many sensors built into its hull. As they descended through the planet's atmosphere, their equipment continued scanning everything below. "Air quality is excellent," reported Texmore, watching his instruments. "No harmful gases or radiation detected. Animal life is abundant but non-aggressive," added Rinhala. "I see deer-like creatures, small mammals, and many bird species. Nothing that poses a threat to our mission." The shuttle landed in a clearing surrounded by enormous trees. Some trees were so wide that 10 Zephyrians holding hands could not reach around them. Others stretched so high that their tops disappeared into green shadows above. Flowers of every color grew between the tree roots, and clear streams ran over smooth stones. As the shuttle door opened, the Zephyrians felt warm air flow inside. It smelled of growing plants, fresh water, and rich soil. They stepped onto ground covered with soft moss and fallen leaves. "Beautiful," whispered Kixandra. "This ecosystem is more complex than our orbital scans indicated." Each Zephyrian carried a handheld scanner about the size of a book. The devices hummed softly as they measured everything around them: the chemical makeup of the soil, the health of nearby plants, the movements of small animals, and the safety of the area. "All readings normal," Rinhala announced, checking her security scanner. "No dangerous predators within detection range. No signs of intelligent life. We are completely safe here." The team began their work immediately. Kixandra collected samples of interesting plants, sealing them in special containers that would preserve them for analysis. Txmore tested the water from a nearby stream, measuring its purity and mineral content. Velthari documented everything with a recording device, making notes about potential farming areas. "The soil quality exceeds our requirements," Thaxmore reported. These forests could be cleared to make room for grain crops and livestock pastures. The biodiversity is remarkable, Kixandra added, carefully examining a flowering vine. I count over 40 different plant species just in this small area. The entire planet must contain thousands of varieties we have never seen before. Rinhala walked in a wide circle around the others, her scanner sweeping back and forth across the forest. Every few minutes, she would pause and check her readings more carefully. The display always showed the same message in glowing letters. No threats. Detected. This mission will be simpler than expected, Velthari concluded. With no intelligent natives to negotiate with, we can establish colonies wherever we choose. The planet appears to be a perfect uninhabited world, waiting for us to claim it. The four Zephyrians continued their work, confident in their technology, and completely unaware that dozens of eyes were watching them from the forest shadows. The Zephyrian team worked steadily through the forest for several hours. Their crystal bodies caught sunlight filtering through the tree canopy, creating rainbow patterns on the moss-covered ground. The constant humming of their scanners mixed with the natural sounds of birds singing and leaves rustling in the gentle breeze. Kixandra knelt beside a cluster of bright purple flowers, carefully cutting small pieces with a tool that looked like a glowing knife. Each sample went into a clear container that sealed itself automatically. These specimens show unique cellular structures, she announced to the others. They might contain compounds useful for medicine or food production. 20 meters away, Thaxmore crouched beside a stream, dipping a silver probe into the flowing water. Numbers appeared on his scanner's display as it analyzed the liquid. Water purity is exceptional, he called out. No harmful bacteria or toxic minerals detected. This stream could supply fresh water for thousands of colonists. Commander Velthari stood in the center of the clearing, slowly turning in a complete circle while holding a larger scanning device. The machine projected a soft blue light that swept across the forest like a lighthouse beam. Geological survey shows stable bedrock, Velthari reported. No earthquake activity or volcanic instability. The land is perfect for permanent settlements. Rinhala maintained her security position at the edge of the group, her weapon systems powered but unused. Her scanner showed a detailed map of the surrounding area, with colored dots representing different types of animals. Green dots for harmless creatures like rabbits and squirrels. Yellow dots for larger animals like deer that might run if startled. No red dots anywhere, which would indicate dangerous predators. All security readings remain normal, she announced. I detect several small mammals within 50 meters, but nothing that poses any risk to our mission. The forest around them seemed peaceful and quiet. Occasionally a bird would fly overhead, or a small animal would rustle through the underbrush, but their scanners identified each sound and movement as completely harmless. The Zephyrians felt completely safe and alone in this pristine wilderness The afternoon wore on. The team moved deeper into the forest. They followed animal paths between the massive trees, stopping frequently to collect more samples and take measurements. Their equipment recorded everything automatically: temperature, humidity, air pressure, and the exact location of every specimen they gathered. This planet exceeds all our expectations, Velthari said, reviewing the data on their portable display. The climate is stable, the resources are abundant, and there are no complications from native populations. Our people will be very pleased with this discovery. Dexmore had moved to a different stream, one that was wider and deeper than the first. As he knelt on the bank to collect another water sample, something caught his attention in his peripheral vision. He paused, scanner still humming in his hands, and looked toward a massive tree trunk about 20 meters away. The tree was ancient and enormous, its bark covered with green moss and small climbing plants. Nothing seemed unusual about it at first glance. Thaxmore's scanner continued showing its normal all-clear readings, but something had moved near the base of that tree. He was certain of it. Did anyone else see movement near the large oak tree? He asked, pointing toward the massive trunk. The other three Zephyrians looked in the direction he indicated. Their scanners automatically focused on the area, sweeping it with various types of energy to detect any life forms or unusual activity. Scanners show nothing abnormal, Rinhala replied, checking her security display carefully. I see normal background readings for plant life and soil composition. No animal movement detected in that location. Probably just a bird or squirrel, Kixandra suggested, not looking up from her specimen collection. The forest is full of small creatures. But Thaxmore continued watching the tree. His engineering training had taught him to trust both his instruments and his instincts. The scanner said there was nothing there, but something in his mind insisted that he had seen movement. Then it happened. A figure stepped out from behind the massive tree trunk. The being was roughly the same height as a Zephyrian, but its body was completely different. Instead of crystal, it was made of soft flesh in a tan color. It wore clothing that appeared to be made from plant fibers and animal skins, browns and greens that blended perfectly with the forest colors. In its hands, it carried simple tools, made of wood and stone. "Contact!" Rinhala shouted, immediately raising her scanner toward the newcomer. The device's display showed the same readings as before. No threats detected. Unknown species detected, but scanners indicate no hostile capabilities or dangerous intent. The strange being raised both of its hands above its head in what seemed like a peaceful gesture. It spoke words in a language none of them had ever heard before, but the tone was calm and friendly rather than aggressive or frightened. "Impossible," whispered Velthari, staring at their scanner in confusion. How did this creature approach without triggering our detection systems? Our equipment should have sensed its presence from hundreds of meters away. The being, clearly some kind of native inhabitant, continued speaking in its unknown language. It pointed to itself and said what sounded like Jinho, then gestured toward the Zephyrians in a questioning manner. "The scanners still show no threats," Rinhala reported, her voice filled with bewilderment. "According to our instruments, this being possesses no advanced technology, no enhanced physical capabilities, and no hostile intentions. But how did it remain invisible to our sensors until this moment?" Jinho stepped closer, moving with surprising grace through the forest undergrowth, and the Zephyrians realized their mission had just become far more complicated than anyone had anticipated. The four Zephyrians quickly moved into a defensive formation, their energy shields creating a faint blue glow around their crystal bodies. Commander Velthari stepped forward carefully, holding a universal translator device that looked like a small silver box with blinking lights. "Greetings," Velthari spoke slowly into the translator. The device projected the words in different sounds and frequencies, hoping the strange being would understand at least one version. "We are peaceful explorers from far away. We mean no harm to you or your world." The human being called Jinho listened carefully, tilting his head in a way that reminded Velthari of their own thinking posture. After a moment, Jinho pointed to himself and repeated the word more clearly. "Jinho." Then he pointed at the Zephyrians and made questioning sounds. "He wants to know who we are," Kixandra realized. She spoke into the translator. "We are called Zephyrians. We come from the stars." Jinho nodded as if he understood, then did something that amazed all four visitors. He began walking through the forest with incredible skill, moving around obstacles that the Zephyrian scanners had not even detected. He stepped over hidden roots buried under leaves, ducked under low branches that were barely visible in the dim light, and avoided holes in the ground that their equipment had missed completely. "How is this possible?" Dixmore whispered, frantically adjusting his scanner settings. "My instruments show no enhanced vision organs, no special sensors, no cybernetic implants. His biology appears completely normal for a primitive species." But Jinho continued demonstrating abilities that should have been impossible. He walked to a patch of colorful flowers that Kixandra had been studying and shook his head firmly. Through simple gestures, he pointed to the flowers, then to his mouth, then made a face that clearly meant dangerous or bad. "Those are the specimens I collected an hour ago," Kixandra said, checking her portable analyzer. "The toxicity test will not be complete for another 30 minutes. How could he know they are poisonous just by looking at them?" Jinho moved to another group of plants nearby and nodded approvingly. He picked a few leaves, crushed them between his fingers, and offered the smell to Kixandra. The translator had learned enough of his language to convey his simple message. Good. Safe. Medicine. Remarkable, breathed Velthari. Our botanical database contains information about millions of plant species from hundreds of worlds, but we have never seen these varieties before. Yet this being knows immediately which ones are helpful and which ones are harmful. The demonstration continued as Jinho examined their scanning equipment with obvious curiosity. Without any technical training or explanation, he seemed to understand the basic purpose of each device. He pointed to Kixandra's biological analyzer and made questioning sounds. When she showed him how it worked on a leaf sample, he nodded as if the concept made perfect sense. Most surprising of all, Jinho approached the Thaxmore's geological scanner and pointed to different controls on its surface. Through gestures and the improving translator, he somehow indicated which buttons were for soil analysis, which were for water testing, and which were for detecting underground minerals. This is impossible, Thaxmore stated flatly. This device uses quantum resonance, technology that took our civilization 3,000 years to develop. How can a primitive being understand its functions without any training? Rinhala kept her security scanner focused on Jinho throughout these demonstrations. The readings never changed. According to her instruments, the human possessed no advanced technology, no enhanced neural activity, and no unusual physical capabilities. He was simply a normal biological being with no special powers or abilities. Yet Jinho continued proving their scanners wrong. He led them to a section of the forest where the trees grew in unusual patterns. Through the translator, he explained that underground water flowed in specific directions here, causing the trees to lean toward the moisture. Thaxmore tested the soil with his geological scanner and confirmed that Jinho was absolutely correct. Our orbital surveys missed this completely, Thaxmore admitted. The underground water system he describes would be valuable for any colonial settlement, but our advanced sensing equipment failed to detect what he sees with his bare eyes. Jinho then approached a tree that looked identical to dozens of others in the area. He placed his ear against the bark and listened carefully for several seconds. Then he began digging at the base of the tree with his simple wooden tools. Within minutes, he had uncovered a cluster of edible roots that smelled delicious when broken open. The nutrient analysis will take 20 minutes, Kixandra said, testing the roots with her scanner. But somehow he knew exactly where to find them and that they would be safe to eat. As the afternoon progressed, Jinho demonstrated knowledge that seemed impossible for someone without advanced technology. He showed them which direction led to fresh water by observing the flight patterns of certain birds. He identified areas where the soil was richest by looking at the color and texture of specific plants. He even predicted a brief rain shower by noticing changes in air pressure that their weather sensors had not yet detected. Every reading confirms he is just a normal biological being, Rinhala reported, staring at her scanner in confusion. No enhanced intelligence, no hidden technology, no special abilities. Yet he demonstrates knowledge and skills that surpass our most advanced equipment. Commander Velthari watched Jinho with growing respect and puzzlement. Their entire understanding of intelligence and capability was being challenged by this simple forest dweller, who somehow knew things their sophisticated technology could not detect. As the universal translator improved its understanding of Jinho's language, communication became much easier. The human spoke slowly and used his hands to help explain ideas that the machine could not yet translate properly. His voice was calm and patient, like someone teaching children. "You people from Sky, we see your big house up there," Jinho said, pointing toward the heavens. The translator converted his words into the Zephyrian language with only small delays now. "We watch, many days, before you come down, Commander." Velthari exchanged worried glances with the other team members. This primitive being was claiming his people had observed their starship from the planet's surface. Their vessel was in high orbit, invisible to the naked eye and shielded from most detection methods. "You saw our ship?" Velthari asked carefully. "From down here on the ground?" Jinho nodded and smiled. The expression looked friendly and honest. Not with eyes alone, we see different way. We watch how birds fly strange. We feel something new in sky. We know someone comes. But our orbital scans detected no intelligent life, Kixandra protested. Our sensors can identify organized civilizations from space. We found no cities, no technology, no signs of your people anywhere on this planet. That is because Jinho paused, searching for the right words. We choose not to be seen. We live with forest, not against forest. We are part of world, not separate from world. Rinhala stepped forward, her security scanner still showing no threats. Are there others of your kind nearby? Our equipment detects no additional life forms in this area. Instead of answering with words, Jinho cupped his hands around his mouth and made a sound that was part whistle, part bird call. The noise echoed through the trees in a pattern that seemed almost musical. The forest around them suddenly came alive with movement. A woman stepped out from behind a tree that had seemed too narrow to hide anyone. She was dressed in the same natural colors as Jinho, with clothing made from woven plant fibers and soft leather. Jinho gestured toward her and said, Ye-Jin. From what had appeared to be a pile of dead leaves near the stream, a man rose to his feet. Bits of moss and small twigs fell from his clothing as he stood and walked toward them. Dongmin, Jinho, introduced him. Even more amazing, another woman seemed to materialize from the dappled shadows between the trees. One moment there was nothing there. The next moment she was walking toward them with a gentle smile. So young, Jinho said as she approached. This is impossible, Texmore whispered, frantically checking his scanner readings. The instruments still show nothing. How can 3 more beings be standing right in front of us while our equipment detects no additional life signs? Jinho listened to the translator convert Texmore's words, then laughed softly. Your eyes see much, but not everything. You look for metal things, energy things, big groups of people living in stone houses. We are not these things. Ye-Jin stepped forward and spoke to Jinho in their own language for several moments. He nodded and turned back to the Zephyrians. She says, Your people move careful in forest. You not hurt plants without need. You not kill animals for fun. This tells us you have good hearts. We observed your behavior for 7 days, Dongmin added, his words becoming clearer as the translator learned more of their language. We watched how you collected samples gently. We saw how you avoided stepping on flowers. We knew then that you were not dangerous visitors. So Young moved closer to examine Kixandra's equipment with obvious curiosity. We have been learning your language by listening to your conversations, she explained. Sound travels far in forest when you know how to hear it. Velthari felt confused and impressed at the same time. But why did you choose to reveal yourselves now? You could have remained hidden indefinitely. Because hiding forever is not good, Jinho replied thoughtfully. We learn much by watching, but we learn more by talking. You have knowledge from sky and stars. We have knowledge from earth and growing things. Together we both know more. How many of your people live on this world? Rinhala asked, still trying to understand the scope of what they had missed. Jinho spoke quickly with the other 3 humans before answering. Many. We live everywhere. In forests like this one, in mountains where snow falls, near great waters, that stretch to horizon. Your eyes not see us because we choose to be invisible. But how do you communicate across such distances without technology? Texmore wanted to know. Dongmin smiled and pointed to a bird perched high in the trees above them. Birds carry messages. Wind carries sounds. Water carries signs. Forest tells us everything we need to know, if we listen correctly. So Young added, we do not fight against world. We become part of world. When you are truly part of something, you do not need machines to understand it. The Zephyrians stood in stunned silence, realizing that their advanced technology had completely failed to detect an entire civilization that had been watching and studying them since their arrival. These humans had achieved something their sensors couldn't measure, perfect harmony with their environment that made them essentially invisible to outside observers. We have much to learn from each other, Velthari finally said, beginning to Understand that intelligence could take forms their scanners were never designed to recognize. Over the next several hours, more humans appeared from the forest in ways that continued to amaze the Zephyrians. Jin-Ho introduced them to Min-Su, a quiet man who had been following their shuttle since it first landed. He had watched them from tree branches and hidden behind rocks, learning their movement patterns and making sure they posed no danger to his people. "I was 10 steps behind you for most of the day," Min-Su explained through the now fluent translator. "I walked where you walked, but in the shadows. Your machines never knew I was there." Yunji dropped down from the tree canopy above them, landing softly on the moss-covered ground. She had been watching Kixandra collect plant samples, making sure the Zephyrian scientist did not damage any rare or important species. Small leaves and pieces of bark clung to her hair and clothing. "I have been learning what plants interest you," Yunji said, brushing dirt from her hands. "Some of the flowers you collected are very valuable to us. They make medicine for sick children. But I saw you take only small pieces, not the whole plant. This showed me you understand respect for growing things." Another man named Jai-Ho emerged from behind a cluster of large ferns. He had been listening to their conversations all day, studying their language patterns and helping Jin-Ho prepare for this first contact. "Your words are different from ours, but your meanings are often the same," he observed. "You speak of exploration and learning. These are good goals that we share." Commander Velthari felt overwhelmed by the implications of what they were discovering. "How many of your people have been observing us without our knowledge?" Jin-Ho conferred with the others, in rapid conversation before answering. "Many. In our village there are 200 people. In villages near mountains maybe 1,000. By the great waters even more. We all knew of your arrival within hours of your landing." "But how is this possible?" Kixandra asked. "We detected no communication signals, no technology that could spread information across such distances." Haijin pointed to a small bird perched on a nearby branch. "When something unusual happens, birds change their flight patterns. We watch birds. We also watch how wind moves through trees, how water flows in streams, how certain flowers open and close. Everything in nature sends messages if you know how to read them." "For example," Dongmin added, kneeling beside the stream where Thexmore had been collecting water samples, "when large metal things land in forest, it changes underground water flow. Fish swim differently. Insects make different sounds. All of these small changes tell us a story." To demonstrate their knowledge, Yunji began showing Kixandra plants that the Zephyrian databases had no information about. She explained which leaves could heal cuts, which roots helped with fever, and which berries provided energy during long journeys. When Kixandra tested these claims with her scientific equipment, she found that Yunji was correct in every case. "This plant knowledge has been passed down through many generations," Yunji explained. "My grandmother taught me, her grandmother taught her, and so on back through time. We remember what works and what does not work by testing carefully and sharing results." Meanwhile, Min-Su worked with Thexmore to demonstrate how to find underground mineral deposits by reading the landscape. He showed the engineer how certain trees grew only above iron ore, how specific types of moss indicated copper beneath the soil, and how the color of rocks revealed different metals. "Your machines are very clever," Min-Su said, watching Thexmore's geological scanner confirm each prediction, "but they tell you only what they are built to detect. Eyes and experience can sometimes see patterns that machines miss." Jai-Ho sat with Rin Hala, explaining how his people had developed early warning systems for dangerous weather, hostile animals, and other threats. They used combinations of animal behavior, plant responses, and atmospheric changes to predict problems hours, or even days before they occurred. "Security is not just about weapons and armor," Jai-Ho observed. "True security comes from understanding your environment so well that you can avoid most dangers before they become serious." As the day grew late and shadows lengthened through the forest, Jin-Ho offered to show the Zephyrians something that would change their understanding completely. "Come with us to our village," he suggested. "See how we live. Learn why your machines could not find us." The group walked through the forest for nearly an hour, following paths that seemed to appear and disappear as needed. Along the way, Jin Ho pointed out dozens of concealed dwellings built into hillsides, constructed inside living trees, and hidden under natural rock formations. Gardens grew in clearings that looked like wild meadows, but were actually carefully tended food sources. Water management systems channeled streams through the settlement, but appeared to be natural creek beds. Everything we build works with nature, not against it, So Young explained as they walked. We shape our homes to fit the land rather than changing the land to fit our homes. This way we can live here without destroying what makes this place beautiful. When they finally reached the main village, Velthari understood why their orbital scans had detected nothing. The settlement looked exactly like a natural forest clearing, complete with wildflowers, flowing water, and animal life. Only careful observation revealed the concealed entrances to underground homes, the camouflaged workshops, and the hidden storage areas. Your scanners were not wrong, Jinho said with a smile. They found no threats because we chose to be no threat. They found no cities because we built no cities. They found no technology because we used different kinds of tools. But they also found no intelligence, and in this, your machines made their only mistake. Commander Velthari finally understood that intelligence and civilization could take forms, that advanced technology was never designed to recognize. Retry Claude can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.